This feels like one of those moments as a 49ers fan. One of those crossroads where you can almost feel the front office standing there asking, do we push all the chips in, or do we play it safe? Because in the last few days, two different conversations popped up around this team, and on the surface they seem unrelated. One on defense, one on offense. But trust me, they're connected by the exact same question. Are the Niners willing to go all in right now? On one side, there's a loud message, coming from someone who's been in the trenches, basically saying what a lot of us have been thinking but maybe haven't said out loud, that being good enough isn't enough anymore. And on the other side, there's a growing feeling that what this team lost recently hasn't really been replaced, and that fixing it might require something bold, something risky, something that could completely change how defenses line up against us. This matters because we're not talking about a rebuild. We're talking about a roster that still feels close, painfully close. The kind of close that makes every aggressive move feel tempting and every conservative move feel frustrating. Something important happened behind the scenes, voices are getting louder, and the direction of this team might be decided by how aggressive they're willing to be right now. Before we get into all of it, real quick, if you're a true 49ers fan, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because 49ers Nation Report is brand new. We're chasing our first 1,000 subscribers, and this channel is for fans who actually feel this team, not just read box scores. All right? Let's talk about the first situation, because this one hits right at the heart of the defense. This first situation is way heavier than it might look at first glance, and every single detail matters. The reality is this: the San Francisco 49ers pass rush in 2025 was not acceptable. 20 sacks. That's it. For a team that wants to win a Super Bowl, that's borderline alarming. And yes, there are reasons for it. Nick Bosa goes down with another season-ending injury, Michael Williams also lost for the year, and the defense never really recovered from that punch. Now, on paper, things should look better next season. Bosa is coming back. Michael Williams is coming back. And there's a new defensive coordinator in the building with Raheem Morris taking over. That alone gives fans hope. But here's where it gets real, and honestly, a little uncomfortable. Former NFL pass rusher Shawnee Merriman went on NBC Sports Bay Area with Matt Mayako and said something that I think shook the room. He basically told the 49ers, "Don't be passive, swing for the fences." Merriman flat out said that if he were running the 49ers this offseason, he'd be calling the Cleveland Browns about Myles Garrett and the Las Vegas Raiders about Max Crosby. Not kicking the tires, not checking availability. He said take a run at them, home run swings. Because in his words, those guys are instant upgrades. And look, this isn't Madden talk. This is coming from someone who lived the life of a pass rusher. Merriman didn't say Bosa is done. He was very careful with his words. But he did say something that should absolutely sit with the front office. He brought up the injury history. He said, basically, nobody really knows how Nick Bosa is going to come back this time. Second injury? Third injury? When you've been there, when your body keeps betraying you, sometimes you're just not the same guy anymore. Again, he wasn't predicting it. He wasn't declaring doom. But he said there should be a level of concern inside the building. And as fans, that's hard to hear, because we love Nick Bosa. He's the face of the defense. But pretending that everything will magically reset just because he's back is risky. That's the point Merriman was making. Now, at the same time, there is a positive energy shift happening on defense. Fred Warner spoke with NBC Sports Bay Area and made it clear that the locker room is fully bought in with Raheem Morris. And this is what stood out to me. Fred is going into year 9 and he's saying, "I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to adapt. We're hungry to be dominant again." That tells you everything about the mindset of this defense. No egos. No, we've already arrived. Just hunger. And there's more context to why Raheem Morris is even here in the first place. After Robert Saleh left to become the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, the 49ers had options. According to 49ers insider Grant Cohn, the hire of Morris came down to trust and relationship with Kyle Shanahan. Cohn straight up said he loved the hire, especially because it wasn't Gus Bradley, who he said would have been a disaster. He even admitted that Jim Schwartz would have been interesting, especially with the wide 9 scheme. But let's be real, that was never happening. Shanahan works with people he trusts, people he knows, and Raheem Morris checks that box. So when you put all of this together, this is what you're really looking at. A defense with leadership, a defense with belief, a defense getting key players back, but also a defense that might still be missing that overwhelming, game-wrecking edge presence opposite or alongside Bosa, especially if there's even a small question about how he returns. Which brings me to this uneasy feeling I can't shake. If the 49ers are being urged to swing this hard on the defensive side of the ball, what happens when you look at the offense and realize there's a different kind of hole forming there too? One that might require an even crazier level of aggression. Because if you think a blockbuster move for a pass rusher would shake the league, wait until you hear the conversation that's starting to build on the other side of the ball. All right, now let's talk about the other side of this equation. Because if the defensive conversation already felt aggressive, this one is straight up nuclear. This is where you realize the 49ers aren't just being nudged to tweak the roster. They're being dared to go all in. With the impending split between the San Francisco 49ers and All-Pro wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, the offense suddenly has a massive problem. And there's no sugarcoating it. The Niners no longer have a true number 1 wide receiver on this roster. Ayuk missed the entire 2025 season recovering from ACL and MCL injuries, and now he's expected to be released in the coming weeks. On top of that, Deebo Samuel was already traded to the Washington Commanders during the offseason. And to make things even shakier, Jawan Jennings is likely heading to free agency. So, what did the 49ers do in 2025? They survived with a wide receiver by committee approach. The offense was basically carried through the air by Christian McCaffrey, who somehow turned into the team's top receiver. 102 catches on 129 targets, 924 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Insane. Behind him, it was patchwork. Jennings put up 55 catches for 643 yards and 9 touchdowns. Kendrick Bourne had 37 catches for 551 yards. Ricky Pearsall added 36 for 528. And Demarcus Robinson chipped in 22 catches for 276 yards and 1 score. Productive? Sure. Scary? Not really. And that's why respected insider Tim Kawakami from the San Francisco Standard dropped a take that honestly made me stop and reread it. He said the quiet part out loud. Kawakami believes the 49ers should go all in on a blockbuster trade for Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, that Justin Jefferson. Kawakami wrote that the Niners could try to fly to the top of the potential trade market and make Minnesota an offer they might not be able to refuse. He straight up said it's not out of the question. And here's where it gets wild. He believes the 49ers could realistically put together a package of at least 2 first-round picks, plus more, to pry Jefferson away. especially if Jefferson himself wants out to avoid wasting his prime years dealing with J.J. McCarthy and his growing pains. Kawakami didn't stop there. He said the 49ers have the gravity right now, the roster, the reputation, the win-now window to bend this situation their way. And when he talked about fit, that's when it really hit home. He said Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey might be the two most ideal playmakers imaginable in a Kyle Shanahan offense. So ideal that it forces you to ask a dangerous question. How many first-round picks is too many? In Kawakami's words, Jefferson would be the most dangerous wide receiver Kyle Shanahan has coached since Julio Jones in Atlanta back in 2016, the year that offense went to the Super Bowl. So now, zoom out for a second. On defense, voices are saying, don't trust health alone. Add another monster. On offense, insiders are saying, stop patching holes. Go get the best. Two sides of the ball, same message. This team is being challenged to decide who they really are in this moment. And I'll stop right here, because when you put these two stories together, the implications get even bigger. Now let's tie all of this together, because when you step back and look at both stories at the same time, you start to see exactly where the San Francisco 49ers really are right now. This isn't a rebuilding team. This isn't a let's wait and see roster. This is a team staring straight at a win-now window and being challenged from multiple angles to decide how brave they're willing to be. On defense, the message is clear. Hope is not a plan. Getting Nick Bosa and Michael Williams back helps. Hiring Raheem Morris brings new energy. And leaders like Fred Warner are fully bought in. But there's still a real question about whether that pass rush is dominant enough without adding another game wrecker. The suggestion to go after someone like Myles Garrett or Max Crosby isn't about panic. It's about refusing to settle. On offense, it's the same theme, just louder. Losing Deebo Samuel, watching Brandon Ayuk's time end, and leaning on a receiver by committee showed heart. But it also exposed a truth. This offense doesn't scare defenses the way it used to. And the idea of pairing Justin Jefferson with Christian McCaffrey in a Kyle Shanahan system? That's not a luxury. That's a statement to the entire league. So, what do these two stories together really tell us? They tell us the 49ers are at a decisive moment. Not desperate, not broken, but right on the edge between being really good and being overwhelming. The front office can play it safe, trust internal growth, protect draft capital, or they can lean into the gravity they've built and say, we're going for it. Consequences later. As a fan, I'll say this, windows like this don't stay open forever. And the worst feeling in football isn't losing big. It's realizing you didn't push hard enough when you had the chance. Now let me hear from you. If you're watching this, drop a comment. Would you rather go all in on a monster pass rusher or blow it up for a superstar wide receiver? Or do you think the 49ers should actually try to do both? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. And if you're a real 49ers fan who appreciates honest, emotional takes, subscribe to 49ers Nation Report. The channel is brand new. We're chasing our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps build this thing the right way. We're just getting started. Faithful to the Bay.